This episode of Hammerlock Podcast with Tyson Dux is brought to you by Hammerlock Apparel. Visit hammerlockapparel.com today. On today's episode, we talk about being prepared to seize opportunity, Matt Hardy being a genuinely good human being, dealing with injuries mid-match, and much more. It's a doubleheader for episode 10. First, Tyson Dux versus Tyler Black from Ring of Honor, and then it's Tyson Dux versus Matt Hardy from the WWE. Let's go! What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm Scotty D here once again with another episode, Hammerlock Podcast, with our good friend, the man that's making old school cool again, the head of the Hammerlock Empire. It's Tyson Dux. How you doing, man?
Doing well, and you're right. We are slowly trying to build this Hammerlock brand into many facets in life, and hopefully we can reap the benefits. Everybody on board with the Hammerlock team, such as yourself, myself, and my family, and everybody else has got a little hand involved. Today is very special. Why, Scotty? Why is today so special?
Well, we got a little bit of a milestone here. It might be just a small milestone in the long run, but for us, it's a bit of a milestone. It's episode number 10, and we started this thing. We kind of said, let's do 10 and see what happens. And that's where we are today. And, you know, we talked about it last week, kind of did a little bit of a prelude into what we're doing, but I wanted for the 10th episode, I wanted to look at a couple of your own matches, get a little bit of a perspective of you watching yourself, giving us an idea of what was actually going on at the time. So that's what we're doing today. Really looking forward to it. We got a couple matches we're going to look at. First one is going to be from Ring of Honor back what year was this one?
This would possibly be around, I only know this around 08.
Okay.
08, 09 is when I had it was 08 because 09 I had a pretty good run. And then 10 I was good with them as well. And I was getting divorced. That was my that's a milestone in itself. Yeah. I was divorced in 2010. Isn't that funny that that's my marker of like 2010 era is the beginning of a new era?
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, I think this is 2008.
Right on. So yeah, I mean, that's, we made it to 10. How, I've enjoyed it so far. Hopefully you've been having a good time listening to them. People out there that have been consuming this stuff. It, to me, it's been fun. What surprised me, which I didn't expect, was the variety of matches we were going to see. Tyson's kind of brought in some different styles, different matches from all over the world. It's been really fun for me. What have you gotten out of the first 10 episodes?
Well, for me, because these are all kind of handpicked by us, and mostly the ideas of stuff that have stuck out in my brain. Because I'm a studier of wrestling, and that's one of those things. Is I will always be one of those guys that watches all the time. So it's one of those things. I'm always watching professional wrestling, and I want to understand it more and get better at it in my own regard and make things better for this business as it goes further. So I find that I'm when going over matches, I'm always on the hunt for new stuff and what's hot and what's not and stuff like that. So you'll find me, like I said the other day, like we were talking about South Africa having their own style of professional wrestling, and it is professional wrestling, but it has the act of voodoo in it. So they hypnotize their opponents. They'll go through like a legitimate match, but then all of a sudden they'll break out into this dude is hypnotized, or a voodoo doll like made his arm paralyzed. You know, it's just it's funny just to see, because it's a cultural thing too. Each culture has a different view of it, so it's kind of neat to just kind of storm through. And I'm always, like I said, I'm always going to want to look for wrestling and see what makes it click in whatever area, and take away what I love and just not really bash it, but just leave behind the stuff that I don't love and just go forward. It's the only way to be a complete human being. You're never ever wanting to stop the learning process or the moving process. You always want to be at it. Otherwise, you're not living anymore. You're just sitting still.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously with the internet and the access to information we have now, there's an endless amount of content out there and matches and old stuff you can watch, whether it's, stuff that's coming out now, or we can go back and watch stuff from days gone by. And it's really enjoyable as a wrestling fan to see that stuff. Why don't you kind of give us a bit of a lead up into this first match we're watching from Ring of Honor here?
Oh, yes. So first match on the card is one of the Tyson Dux' favorite, because it is not only Tyson Dux in this thing, but there's a lot of story behind this as well. There's little tidbits that you'll see throughout it that you might not have noticed on the first go. This is Tyson Dux, myself, versus Tyler Black, also known as Seth Rollins of WWE. So this is just before Tyler Black really busted out onto the scene as their heavyweight champ. Had a great run as heavyweight champ with the company. He was starting to build a bit of a rapport. This is in Toronto at the Ted Reeves Arena, which is an extremely hot, small little arena in downtown Toronto. He was supposed to. The contest was, for this night, it was supposed to be Tyler Black versus Nigel McGuinness. Nigel McGuinness, the night before, had gotten injured with a stinger on his neck. So he took the cradle pile driver from Jerry Lynn, landed a little awkwardly, got a stinger. So he just took the night off, because neck issues are like serious issues. So then I took his place out of the blue. And as we get along here, we'll talk a little bit more about that whole thing. But yeah, that's basically what it is I was the sub in, as you hear Dave Prazak. He'll mention multiple times about how I'm lucky because I got a chance to do this. So you'll hear the commentary. The commentary is not bad, but it also not. It isn't my favorite, and I'm not bashing anybody, but if you're going to put over talent, there's another match, if you have a chance to watch for this exact reason, is the What Culture match between me and Kyle O'Reilly. They might as well have been sitting directly on Kyle O'Reilly's lap. They were loving Kyle so much and not giving anything whatsoever on end of things. Not so much as a push, not talking about me at all. It was all about Kyle, which psychologically is kind of stupid, considering that match is over 23 minutes long. So what you're doing is you're basically the dude that you're trying to put over on commentary, and you're jobbing the other guy out. Well, in fact, you're jobbing out your premier talent because this job guy, as you see it, is hanging in there and putting a big struggle on for 23, 24 minutes. So psychologically, not really great. And the same with this, you tend to, they don't know very much about me. So instead of doing their homework, they're more eager about talking about Tyler Black, which is great, and then not mentioning as much about me, just kind of making fun of my hairstyle and all that stuff. Which, guys, in professional wrestling, you're only as good as the rest of your team, and that's kind of the point here. Is if your ring crew's no good, your ring's no good, your business is no good. If your commentary sucks, well, then your matches don't seem as exciting. If your wrestlers suck, then it's, you know what I mean? It's a team effort to make the best show possible. And so that's kind of like on the business end of it, that's where I'm at. Anyways, This match is a lot of fun, though. I will say that this match is a lot of fun, and Tyler Black was an extremely gracious talent, and we had quite a match for only being 10 minutes long. There's a few points that I like, a few points that I don't really like, mostly on my end, but here we go.
Right. Let's get into it. If you want to watch along, I'm going to put a link to this on our YouTube channel. So the description to this video, if you're listening to this on YouTube, there's going to be a link down below that's got a direct link to the match. It's not available widely on the internet, but we are going to have it on our channel temporarily at least, so we can kind of watch along with this. And if you're listening on a podcast network, I will also put the link to the match directly in the description of this episode down below. So you'll be able to find it there. Without further ado, let's get into this thing. And I'm sure a lot of questions will come up as we go. Let's get it started. So I'm going to count it down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. There we go.
All right, here we go. This is going to be, I had a dark match for Ring of Honor the night before with Rip Impact, is an independent wrestler from Hamilton, Ontario region. And then the second night, I got the call up considering Nigel was hurt. So I got the opportunity to wrestle on the main card. There's another reason why this is not on YouTube is they're still selling this DVD. And this DVD, ROH DVDs, because it's athletic wrestling. And it's so hard to come by now, like actual solid athletic wrestling. There's a little burn. So it's so hard to come by that they actually still sell this. You can find this DVD online through the ROH stores and stuff like that, and it's like $35 for it's a double DVD set because it's both nights. So that's crazy. That's crazy if you think about it. Now, once you guys see Tyler Black make his entrance, and he raises his hands, you're going to notice that he's wearing black trunks. And if you look back at me, you're going to notice that I am wearing black trunks. And I know I've talked about this in the podcast before, and here I am eating crow on this, but you should always have a different set of tights. You shouldn't wear the same gear. I've been known, as a rule, you should always have a different color choice. Here's the deal. Tyler Black was known for black trunks. But I did not know going into this day that I would be wrestling with Tyler Black. I was on the road to the show when Adam Pearce called me and saying, "Where are you?" I'm like, "I'm on my way." He says, "Oh, thank God we have you on the main show. You're going to be wrestling Tyler Black tonight." So I only had the black trunks with me because I was on vacation. I was up in Wasaga Beach with my family, my 2 young sons at the time, and my ex-wife. And we're up in the Wasaga Beach area. And I had just done a lucha show and wrestled Blue Demon Jr. A couple days prior. So like maybe 4 days before. So that's all I had for gear. I had my black stuff that I always wear. So that's why there's black on black. But you see a big blonde mohawk, it's really easy to decipher who is who. Also, at this time, I'm way thicker. And can you believe this, Scotty? When I'm looking back on this now, I'm like, God damn, I look all right. Back then, when I looked at myself, I just saw a slop. Just like your mental facet when you're trying to try to get in the best shape of your life, you get body dysmorphia, and I thought I was out of shape here.
Wow,
isn't that crazy? I was over 200 pounds here. Thick,
Jesus,
thick. Yeah.
No pre-tattoos.
Pre-tattoos, just a pretty young fella.
Yeah. All right,
no,
here
Tyler
we go.
Black is like a great talent for chain wrestling. Chain wrestling's really nice. We keep this really solid, really tight, nothing crazy. We're not going to overdo it. I know Tyler, we've worked before this match in tags and stuff. So Tyler knows that I'm well versed in chain wrestling. So, and his thing is he's more of the athletic style. He's not a chain wrestling guy. So he's going to give me my due. So all this stuff that you see, just that little bit of arm work, and into those arm drags, that's for me. That's him just trying to keep us both looking good, keep us looking strong, but yet making this young fella, giving him a bit of a due, because I am a chain wrestling guy.
Right on.
Solid headlock, as you can see. I put all my emphasis on my holds. Every time I put a hold on a guy, there's going to be emphasis on it. Big old shoulder tackle by yours truly. We're going to get right to work. It was one of those things.
Is this all called in the ring, or was this how did that match get laid out?
All this stuff, all the beginning stuff is all in ring, in ring stuff, and then with all this stuff by me is all just heat. This is a setup right here. This is a setup for later. That elbow drop is a setup. Yeah. Usually I just stand up and drop the elbow, but I needed to do the off the ropes because later on I'll show you when, and there's a story behind when I hit those ropes eventually. Just look at this. Now watch this for a drop down leapfrog. Look at the athleticism of this kid, just with ease. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that looked good.
Yeah, it's hard. You look at Seth Rollins now, and he's WWE, so you got to protect yourself. Like, guys are wrestling day in, day out, but this guy is like just an animal when it comes to athleticism, like a CrossFit style workouts and stuff like that. The dude is top notch. Big old body slam on Tyson Dux here. God damn. Taking those slams. I don't have commentary on, but I do not think commentary is never in my favor. I don't know if you're listening to commentary or if you go back and listen to commentary. They're not great on this thing. They're just, but that's the thing. You're trying to put over your talent that's about to be pushed to the moon. I guess that would make sense, right?
I mean, kind of, but if you're going to put him over, you want him to beat somebody who's a badass as well. You don't want him just beating some chump they don't know anything about. So, you want
and that goes to our point again. If a guy's in there and he's actually wrestling and he's putting on in an effort and it's over 10 minutes long, look at that, handspring to your feet, boom. Now this is a miscue right here because we did plan something, but we did not call it enough. I should have turned around and tried to hit him. There was an awkward pause there, just a miscue on both our parts. It was supposed to be that backdrop over. Here we go. Send him. Watch the bump this kid takes. Unreal. One thing that you got to respect about this, there's a lot of things that you'll see and you just don't know. But like being in the ring so long, I know when a guy lands and it's supposed to hit his head, but then I'll see him hit his hand or something like that. I'll see the stuff that's awkward and ugly and would really hurt him. Not the spot, but something along with the spot. Here in this case, Tyler Black took that sweet gut to the guardrail. Those guardrails, that metal sheet that they used to zip onto the guardrails are razor sharp. I know in a match with Eddie Edwards, I cut my back all to pieces just taking the guardrails. And Tyler Black legitimately takes that with his guts. He could have been sliced wide open. Jeez. But and like nobody really gets that.
Yeah.
You're in an ROH show and you see those guardrails, they on the top of them where those guys are leaning against are wicked sharp. It's just metal. It's just like pop can metal, basically. So they will cut you open.
You said brutal. Something to the announcers there when you got back in the ring. I wonder what that was.
Well, no, actually, there was a wrestling fan in the crowd, and he said something real unsavory. I told him shut up or something along those lines. Not shut up, though. It wasn't as polite.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm known for. This is the kind of stuff I'm known for. Like, everything that I do is with intent, like no, I'm not saying I'm Bret Hart, but like if I'm going to do a backbreaker, I'm going to do it like Bret Hart used to, or an AJ Styles in New Japan. I'm actually going to put emphasis on all my holds and grab and hold on. Now, this isn't going to be the put over Tyson Dux for 11 minutes as well, as I am going to show you stuff that I could have done better, way better at the time, though. In 08, it was okay.
Yeah.
Like I got by on it. Oh, here we go. The old Fit Finley elbow to the top of the head, which I'm known to do because I love Fit Finley. Now watch this. This is supposed to be my spot where I hit the ropes for that elbow. That's where the story continues. There. That landing right there separates my shoulder. And you see, as I wave my arm, I just popped it back in to the socket. I put her out. I put that bad boy out. And watch this bump. This bump that comes up is lazy. Because I just put and now it's back in, completely back in the socket. I'm back to my shoulder being all right. Nice boot in the head, take you in. You make sure you commit to all these things. You commit to it. You commit. This is the thing I don't like, is I get right back up because I'm hurt. I'm hurt, and I'm just trying to go through the motions of just going into my next spot. I'm not selling. I'm actually hurt, so I'm not taking the time to properly sell Tyler Black's stuff, Seth Rollins stuff, which when watching it now, I'm aggravated by that. Why would I just get up and walk to the corner like that? But that's the difference between acting and selling and actually feeling a lot of pain and just trying to figure out the next spot and not messing up.
Yeah.
Turn out of his buckle bomb into my own DVD, which he reverses again. And see, again, I'm overstepping them. I'm overstepping because it's pre-planned. I'm not going with the flow of it. On the hot shot across the ropes, which is super athletic. The old Macho Man.
Yep.
Better sell on this one now. Better sell back into this corner. This is my favorite spot because this is where I'm like, smarten up, Tyson. When I'm in that corner and he's stomping, I actually tell myself, get it together. And right here, I get it together. So this is legit. That's a man ripping another man. and then there's a clothesline.
Oh.
Here we are now. I spike DVD, so this is where I pick him up, and I grab his quad, and I pick him up so I can spike him a little bit heavier. Now watch this. As you see me come over into the pin, watch this kick out, Scotty. Watch this. And look, exactly. That's I DVD him on my bad shoulder on that way, and I thought that I had re-popped it out, but all it was is just ligaments were loose, and so it was taking its toll on me. So that's me just checking out my shoulder to make sure it was all right, and then off to the races. We're coming to the end of this one. I love that DVD spot. I love that whole sequence with. I don't like when people jump for me as much anymore. I like when you can have to pop your hips like a legitimate athlete, and like how you'd have to actually take somebody over. Mm-hmm. This is the spot where I was a little bit nervous because my shoulder wasn't good, and I was worried about his well-being getting over on that vertical suplex, but he did because it's Tyler Black and he's athletic. Going to this sweet little pinning sequence of I go victory roll, which is I haven't done those in forever, into a backslide, into sunset, into grabbing him, into a complete of the sunset, into a crucifix, into his crucifix, right into a kick. Bang. From the kick, great refereeing, by the way. That's some great refereeing there. As you can tell, he doesn't steal from it, but he reacts to it. There's God's Last Gift, which is a brainbuster / small package combo. And that is your 1, 2, 3. All in all, I'm super proud of that match because that was I just got down to the arena, or I was on my way. I was about 5 blocks away when Adam Pearce messaged me and said, "Hey man, I need you here. Are you coming to the show?" Because I wasn't supposed to be on either one of these ROH shows. So I wasn't supposed to be on the dark match one. And I had no idea about this one. What it was Kevin Owens, or Kevin Steen at the time, and Frankie the Mobster, or the Beast King, as he's known now. They both, Frankie messaged me and said, "Hey, Steen wants you to come out. We want you to come out to ROH. Can you make it?" Well, I'm on vacation, eating crappy, whatever, but I've been working out still. I'm like, yes, I can get there because I had my gear from doing the Lucha show in Toronto. And so I had the opportunity to get out there and drive my way and then do a dark match. And the dark match, while the crowd was filling in, is kind of weird. So me and Rip Impact have this match, and everybody in the back enjoyed it. So the next night they said, "Come back tomorrow and we'll see what we got for you." And sure enough, bigger things happen. Nice. And you got to always be ready. You have to be ready.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great message to young guys out there. Is opportunity comes sometimes when you're least expecting it, but if you're not ready for it, you're not going to be able to seize that opportunity. So being ready all the time, and it might feel like luck once in a while, but if you're not ready, you miss that opportunity. Luck doesn't have a chance to give itself to you. So being ready is key in all aspects of life, especially the wrestling business. That was a cool match for sure. I don't know how you do this, watching yourself. I can't even listen to myself after we do one of these things. So watching yourself must be tough. I appreciate you indulging me and doing some of your own matches here, because it's neat to hear your perspective of what's going on.
Usually I watch my matches only to critique, and it's I'm the heaviest. You're your own worst critic, or you should be, if you want to do good things in any aspect of life. You should be your own worst critic, but you should just every once in a while. I figured in this day and age, you have to give yourself a little bit of a break every once in a while and not be so hard on yourself. I'm proud of that match because I was on no time to prepare for that match. I was just in that match. I just got there and was ready to go.
Yep.
Cool. So, but it turned out well. It turned out really well. That was my first stint with ROH, and then it just continued from there. I know that a lot of guys have liked that match. Steve Carino is one of those guys that has always said that was a really solid match. You did great stuff there. Yeah. So I'm pleased that my peers have enjoyed my work with ROH and stuff like that. And ROH is one of those companies that I've always enjoyed and respected working for.
The my favorite part of that match now, after hearing this, is the separated shoulder issue. Like, you can't even, hearing you talk about it, you can kind of see you pop it back in and grab it a few times, but you wouldn't even know if you weren't aware of what was going on there. So you definitely sold that big time. It ain't ballet, that's for sure. So
she ain't ballet, as I always say. She is not ballet. And it's extremely difficult to. It was extremely difficult to when you get injured, and guys get injured all the time. You just want to downplay it. You don't want to ever bring attention to it. Unfortunately, I was able to hide it. And here's another thing. I'm trying to get a job with that company. So even when I blew out that shoulder, when I got to the back, and I told you this before, Scotty, I told you we were kind of reminiscent about it. And I said that when I got to the back, I took all my gear and I went into an empty change room. And I got changed in that room by myself because I didn't want anybody to see the amount of difficulty it was going to take me to put a T-shirt on. So to put my shirt back on, I knew that my arm was really bad and I would have to pick it up with my other hand to get it through and stuff like that. And I didn't want anybody to see because that was my first real show with ROH. And I didn't want them to think that I was injury prone, because I'm not injury prone. And I wanted to make sure that they knew that I was going to be like all right, like I was a solid professional and stuff like that. So I hid it. Yeah. So basically all I did was grab my stuff, get to the other change room and change as quickly as possible and get dressed, and then make sure that nobody knew that my arm was busted the whole night. I didn't put ice on it. I didn't walk around holding my shoulder. I didn't try to make a homemade sling. I'm not putting negative tension on myself. That's the whole deal with wrestling now, is like any attention is good attention. So guys want to put emphasis, even if it means it's negative. They just want attention, and that's bullshit. You should always be positive. You should be working hard. You should be trying to get new stuff. You should be trying to sell better and work harder, and your strikes should be more solid. And you shouldn't, even if you're injured, you should say that you're not, unless you broke something and you need to get fixed up. And and the only reason like I said before, that suplex is a little bit slower, that superplex, because I usually snap those over going into the home stretch, is I was trying to keep him safe. And if that's anything to learn from injury, that's the one thing, is I don't want to injure anybody.
Right. All right. So again, another one, we're indulging me here. We're going way back this time. Early Tyson Dux career. It is, for anybody who wants to watch along, you're going to be able to find this match. It's on the internet. If you Google, it's actually on Daily Motion. So the title of the program we're going to watch, it's October 11th, 2003, WWE Velocity. And we're going to watch Matt Hardy versus a young Tyson Dux. And it starts at about, I've got it started at 20 minutes, 45 seconds. It's hard to queue it up. It doesn't, the time slider on this website doesn't work as well as YouTube.
I will say this, and I like Skype. I'm not a fan of Skype. I am definitely not a fan of Daily Motion at all. I find the Daily Motion is very, very difficult to navigate through. I find that like they try to auto correct your spelling of stuff a lot, and that's very, very frustrating.
It freezes often too. It's
it is not fun.
No, sometimes you have to use what you have, even if it's not ideal. Unfortunately, I don't think this match is anywhere else. I couldn't find it anywhere else online at the moment. Let's see.
What year was that again? Velocity?
2003, October 11th, 2003. So while we get that lined up, you know what? I'm going to read a note we got from a fan while you get that set up, if that's all right.
You go right to it.
Yeah. So if you've listened to the show before, you can reach out to us with any questions, comments, and feedback. You can send them to hammerlockpodcast@gmail.com. That's where we get most of our feedback. And we got a nice note from a listener. I wanted to share it because it kind of touches on some of the stuff that wrestling used to be, meant to be, kind of that family type atmosphere. And I really appreciated it. This sent in from a reader. He says, there's a little bit of preamble here, just about talking about finding the podcast and stuff. But the message goes on. My grandfather just passed away a few weeks ago. He loved pro wrestling and attended many events in Niagara Falls, Hamilton, and Toronto back in the 50s and mid-60s. Growing up, my household didn't have cable TV, so I could watch WWF Maple Leaf Wrestling on the antenna at home and then bike to my grandparents to watch WCW on TBS. My grandpa would watch with me and tell me about Whipper Billy Watson, Yukon Eric, Buddy Rogers, Bobo Brazil, and his favorite heel, Hans Schmidt. During lockdown earlier this year, I finally looked up the names on YouTube and found many matches thanks to the Chicago Film Archive channel. I found a match between Yukon Eric and Hans Schmidt. I had hoped to watch it with him this summer when back in Canada. Sadly, that trip didn't happen due to travel restrictions, and then his health deteriorated rapidly at the end of the summer. Unfortunately, I was only able to have a few video chats with him. I told him I found the match and watched it and could send me links so he could watch it. And sent the links so he could watch it. He said, unfortunately, watching screens was difficult for him, but he was thankful to know I was able to finally see footage of those two guys. That was our second last chat. I was going to email you a few weeks back to mention the Chicago YouTube channel. When the morning I planned to do it, you released your episode with Haystacks Calhoun and Buddy Rogers. Seemed a little too strange of a coincidence not to share it with you. Kudos to you and Scotty for helping make old school cool again. Rob. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate that. And I went back and forth with him a little bit, and he went on to say, he had another interesting story I'll share quickly here, a famous story from a family story. And he says, after meeting on a blind date, my grandparents had planned to go see a wrestling show in Niagara Falls for their second date. However, my grandmother felt sick that day and canceled. My grandfather still wanted to go with his future mother-in-law, my great-grandmother, so she would go with him. My grandfather was skeptical, but he agreed. The two of them went to see the wrestling, and my grandfather says he vividly remembers his mother-in-law, a quiet wife of a minister, transforming into a wild, rabid fan. In particular, she stood on her chair, swinging her purse, screaming, "Give him another one," when Hans Schmidt was getting punched in the corner. My grandfather said he had no idea what he'd gotten himself into with his future wife. My grandmother said that she couldn't believe that a wrestling show brought out that side of her mother. All the best, Rob. So thanks, Rob. Those are really cool stories, but it was really, I don't know, I like that, the family aspect of pro wrestling. My first show, my dad took me to it. He wasn't even into wrestling. He just knew I loved it, brought me to the show. It's one of my first memories of being at an event of any kind. And that intergenerational aspect of wrestling, passing it down to the young ones, that's a really cool aspect of the wrestling that hopefully isn't lost on people these days. And for sure, I'm going to be passing stuff on when I have kids. I'll be telling them about the stuff I saw and trying to get them into wrestling as much as I can. I know you do the same. So just wanted to share that with the listeners. Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.
You know what? We do appreciate it. I like notes like that. I like, and that's what wrestling is and should be. Is it's all about family and wanting to, you want that nostalgic feel. And I feel as though that's that's kind of missing, because it's no longer a family event. And we've talked about this many, many times. And this is no slight on hardcore fans, because everybody wants hardcore fans. You want hardcore fans, but like the idea of wrestling as a package to sell to a family is getting less and less. It's like wrestling is so contrived now. All the stories I hear about when they come to shows is they're not talking about my matches, which is funny, because now that I've been at this 24 years, it's funny the amount of kids that would have been little kids that are now full-grown adults that will come up and say, "Hey, I remember you when I was a little kid, and you really scared me." And then one of the, I think it was Sean Spears, beat you up, and like I remember getting his autograph and thinking, "Oh man, that was great." And he says that was like one of the best times me and my dad had. Or like you think about other guys, I talk to older men, and they're always talking about the old days of Bobo Brazil and the original Sheik with his fork and scaring the living bejesus out of them. Completely missing that nostalgic feel that goes along with pro wrestling as a family event, as something as good versus evil. with something that you can convey is completely missing from today's product. And it's quite sad because long are the days that I would love to just sit there with my kid and just say, hey, do you remember that time? And those days are kind of missing from other families. Kind of sad. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. Can you imagine with going to a wrestling show with your mother-in-law? That would be, it seems unfathomable these days to.
No, I can't. No, my ex-mother-in-law. No, I would leave her there. But yeah, she's my ex-mother-in-law. She was something, but yeah she's isn't that it's funny, like a Christian woman too.
Yeah.
But here's a funny story. I once did a show and I wrestled Doink the Clown. So I wrestled Doink the Clown, who was not Doink the Clown. It was a guy that wore makeup and pretended to be Doink the Clown and sold his merchandise as he was Doink the Clown, which is rude, which is a no-no in business. You shouldn't be stealing from someone else's gimmick, even if that gimmick's been shared between multiple wrestlers. That is still not your area.
Like 100% stolen. It wasn't Matt Bourne.
No, it wasn't Matt Bourne. No,
shit.
It wasn't Steve Lombardi. It wasn't any of those guys.
Wow.
It was just an independent guy that was duping people. Well, he didn't look like him either. So if you got duped by that guy being Doink the Clown, then you deserve to have your money taken. But this guy, like, still dressed up like Doink the Clown, and don't steal people's stuff, people. Jeez. Anyways, he stole his stuff. Portrayed himself as Doink the Clown, sold 8x10s, all this stuff. So I went out there. I was kind of mad. And I wrestled this kid and beat him up, like, not in a professional wrestling way. Let's be honest. I'm still a pro. I beat him up and then brought a bottle of water in and rubbed his face with water. And then I had the microphone. I was supposed to cut a promo. And I said, this guy, if you bought a Doink the Clown 8x10, you're stupider than I thought. I'm just being a jerk. Anyways, it's the lead up to another match. It would be me versus Tatanka. So me and Tatanka were about to wrestle. And so a lot of the old school stuff where you get in the ring, get out of the ring, I love a little too much. I don't like the pandering. I don't like doing that pandering to fans that much. I feel as though it should be competitive, but I only go with the story that I've been told to give. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing the in and out of the ring thing and like, get in the ring, you jerk. And then I go over to the crowd and I look at this. There's this little boy and he's having the time of his life. I'm like, hey, what'd you say? He says, get in there. And I said, hey, why don't you punch me in the face, you little punk? And knowing right well that I was going to back up and not let him punch me and just, being just agitating. And as soon as I put my face down and I pointed to my chin, I feel these massive knuckles on my face. And as I look up, it was an old man with a cane, and he had pushed the kid out of the way and straight up gave me a straight right hand to the face. Punched me right in the face. And it took me back. I was shocked. But it was laughable more than it was. I wasn't angry. I'm like, oh, I'm doing my job right. Yeah. I was, it really got me. It was hilarious that I had stirred this old man up into such a rage that he would push this young boy out of the way just to throw one of those sweet right hands and hit me in the face. Of course, that poor old guy got escorted out. I wish they hadn't, because that's just my job being well done. Yeah. I don't believe in violence or like condoning violence on shows. But if you're going to agitate and they're going to want to reciprocate this agitation with the way they feel, I feel as though you should let them sometimes, you know? So, yeah. Great times.
That's cool. All right. How's the technical issues going?
I have found it.
Got her? Right on.
Thank you, Daily Motion, for being the worst site in history. Thank God. There's actually some stuff on here that I would love, or I would bash you more. But there's stuff on here.
Right on.
Anyways, I'm right now, Scotty. I'm at 20 minutes and 39 seconds is where I have it paused.
Okay, I'll get it there, and then I'll get it going.
See Matt. I got Matt Hardy up on my screen doing V1.
Okay, so 20, that's where we'll start at 20 minutes, 39 seconds. I'm getting it queued up now. Anything you want to mention about this one before we get going?
This is another reason that you should always be prepared. Now, I'm not as prepared then because I haven't had gentlemen come to me and tell me, listen, you got to put on size, take your stuff more seriously. I've always been focused on the wrestling and my little shtick here, and I wasn't relying on my shtick. I didn't want to dance all the time. I didn't want to be the dancey, goofy guy, but it was working. It was actually I was making a lot of dates with the dance that I used to do as a young fella. So I've only been in the business a hiccup of time. I'm not in there long enough, but I'm getting great opportunities. So here is one of those situations where me and current Impact champion Eric Young had just drove all through the night. We did shows in Niagara Falls, and then they called us up, and we only had a day to prepare, being Sunday, and then I left. I left home after getting home from Niagara Falls, so it was late night, and then I got a call saying, hey, be in Connecticut tomorrow. So me and Showtime Eric Young met up, and we drove all the way through the night. Went all through the night just to be in Connecticut for Raw and Velocity, or Raw and SmackDown. And this is I got a chance to work on Velocity. Another thing I want you to notice in this match, it's very short, is Matt really takes care of me, does a lot of stuff. We'll talk about this during the match, but also listen to commentary, because commentary will, like Taz, will dog me the whole time. And he will get on me, and he'll just constantly be yipping about my gear, my stupid dance, how goofy I am, all this stuff. And when I got home, people were kind of insulted for me, thinking, why would you do this? Why would he do that? Why is he being such a jerk? And I told them, and I calmed everybody down with this whole thing. It was like, in the minutes that I wrestled, because it was only a couple minutes, like 4 or 5 minutes, do you hear does he talk very much about Matt Hardy? Or does that whole focus of time, is he talking about me? Even if he's chirping me, there's still, the attention is all on me. So take it for what it is, kids. You can't always look at the dark side of things. You always got to look at a kind of a bright side, or this business will eat you up. Matt Hardy gave me a great match, and he took care of me and gave me a lot. And Taz was ripping me on commentary. Great, because the more he ripped on me on commentary, the more it was about Tyson Dux. And it was actually, it actually worked in my favor.
Yep. Right on. Let's get it started. And then if there's any, we'll talk about some of the stuff after that we want to talk about. So
most definitely.
All right. Starting 20 minutes, 39 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, play. You got Matt Hardy coming to the ring. I got to start these at 3 instead of 5. We don't need a 5-second countdown. What am I doing?
Well, I don't mind your 5-second countdown. I think of like King Kong Bundy needing the 5 count. It feels like it's your own little. I feel it's your own shtick, you know.
All right.
You should just mess with people and say, let's do 5.5. We're gonna go at 5.5.
We're with 37-second countdown next time.
Right. Yeah. That'd be the best.
Yeah. So Matt Hardy comes to the ring first here. Is that is that common? What's up with that?
Well, you know why they put him out first is because he's the heel. He's the heel. So typically in wrestling, you're always going to put the heel out first, right? Mm-hmm. He's the one that's going to agitate and get them going. The reason they put him out first too is because I'm about to get signed with this company, and it's only through working, driving multiple hours, making multiple dates, driving everywhere I can to pick up dates for them, and just being the good soldier, whatever they needed. They need me to job one day, I job, no problems. They need me to do a little bit more, I do a little bit more. At this point in my career with WWE, I actually had my own entrance music. So what you're hearing now, if you got it on, that's my entrance music. Wherever in the history of WWE does Enhancement have their own entrance music? I actually, if you still look for it, you can still find Tyson Dux entrance music that's not the Cruiserweight Classic stuff. That's a young pup right there, Scotty.
Yeah,
that's a young fella.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that's not slept through the night. We slept in the car like only a couple hours. That's not bad either, right?
No. That's funny. So when you get called for a show, they just say show up in this town, and it's up to you to get there. However you fly, drive, however you want to get there.
It's all up to you.
Yeah.
If they want you there, you just get yourself there.
Yeah.
Back in the day, in 2002, they actually would give you some money for hotels, gas, and all that stuff. They'd pick up your receipts. Ooh, look at that. Slick little arm through. I never use that short basement drop kick. Every once in a while I want to, but then I never do. But that they used to pick them up, but then as 2003 and 2004 came along, they stopped doing that. Little snapmare, flying snapmare, a little lucha for you, baby.
Yep.
Here we go, a little bit of reverse. I love Matt Hardy's music back then. I loved his pants, everything about him. Look at that sweet head scissors takeover. Look at that dude is bumping. He doesn't have to do this, everybody. He does not have to do this. He can bump for me. He doesn't have to bump for me at all. I could bump for him for the whole 6 minutes that we're working. Here we go. Little side effect action.
Nice move.
Yeah, Matt's a real pro. Matt's a real solid dude, and that's a lot of tape on his arms. That's a lot of tape.
Yeah.
That's a lot of freaking tape. He wouldn't be doing that in the Indies. That would cost him a goddamn fortune.
Yeah.
There we go. Little snake eyes. Hits those ropes. I think it's a line here. Boom. Yeah. Jumping. Beautiful. Beautiful clothesline. Just an absolute pro to work with. And I tweeted with him because somebody sent me this match, and I gifted a couple of things on it because he really took a lot of care of me and really wanted me to look like $1 million, and he really did. And he always said that he always saw something and like he thought that I should have a job, and he was trying his best. And you don't see that very often where people do that anymore.
Yep.
Where they want to make you and they want you to work there. You know, it's usually all about themselves. But he was a giver, man. He gave me a lot here. A little Olympic roll, everybody. That's some real sweet technical wrestling for you. As you can see, a lot of my stuff is based on that stuff. I don't try to do stuff out of my wheelhouse. I try to wrestle more with a lot of chain wrestling and stuff. Patented leg drop by Matt Hardy there. Elbow into the leg drop. Slick. Everything in this match, and the more I watched it, like I first watched, I'm like, this sucks. Because you can see little things. Like you can see that I'm still learning to explode off those ropes more, and my punches really suck real bad. But you can definitely see that. The more I look at it, the more I take away the positive sides. As you can see, like a very young kid that's done a lot on his own and has built his own, like got some charisma. And is easy to move around and like I'll sell anything. A little tornado DDT for you. Don't see that anymore. And selling and back to selling, which I don't think that it didn't really call for me to sell that much. I should have been trying to fire up, but like back then, still new, should have known better. I was just trying to always worked as enhancement. So my mind was always be enhancement, enhance their stuff.
Yeah.
Don't try to get yourself over, try to get them over. I was all about business. I'm all about business. Oh, side into Russian leg sweep. Never use that anymore either. And I never will. Drop kick to the skull. And that's right on the money. That's like, I actually hit him in the head, which is great. And I forgot my spot. And then there was for a cover, and he yelled at me, "Hey, dummy, get over here and cover me." And now he's feeding his way over because he's making me work. And I know the spot now because I remembered. There's a knee in the head. There's a place that I hate to go is top rope, but I do cross bodies. So
That's
I
nice.
did a sweet cross body.
Yeah. It's
not bad. It's not Ricky Steamboat, but it's all right. Because I always get nervous about stuff like that when I'm up. I don't want to mess up. And you shouldn't feel that way. You should never feel that way. You should always try to, if you're going to go for stuff, go for stuff. Try it. Don't try to do new stuff that you've never practiced before. But if you think you got it, you got it. Yeah. And there we go. And that was my call to do his Twist of Fate off the second rope. I said, hey, you do Twist of Fate all the time, and it looks great. And you've done it in every way, but how about we do it off the second rope, where you catch me off, or I'm sitting on the second rope and you just yank me out. Because I was a big fan of All Japan, and Johnny Ace used to do his cutter that he used to do, the Ace Crusher. He used to put him on the second rope and pull out with it, and just pull the guy's head out, and which makes it look way more realistic. Yeah. Than a guy just grabbing you and him falling on your back, you falling on your face. And so that finished. Actually, after that match, we were in the back in the back in Gorilla and said, "Whoa, that was a great finish." And he's like, "Well, it was the kid, and like, that's like selfless, just like unselfish. Just that dude just gave me miles of rope to work with, and it helped me out because I was so close to being signed by that point, and all it was an enhancement that just kept working and getting closer and closer and closer until my inevitable tear of my ACL in 2004. But I'm telling you, man, it was a hell of a ride, and he was and he still is an outstanding talent.
Yeah, that's neat. So when you say that was all him, how does a match like that get put together? Like, is there an agent involved giving you direction, or do you just have a time to go out and he's calling everything? What's the background on that type of thing?
No, that match there, he put that all together in the back. There is no calling in that one. Just those, when I forgot my spot, he was quick to remind me of where we were going and just led me along as he did, which is fine. This wrestling business, if you're going to call or if you're going to plan a bunch of stuff, you're going to forget stuff. It's natural, and it's not, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. It's just the way it is. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you get hit in the head or whatever, get caught in the moment. So he put that all together. And then we told the agent, which I do believe was Tony Gurria at the time. And Tony's an old school cat, and he would not approve of me having that much offense. But he actually he said, "Let me talk to the agent. I'll tell him what we're doing, and then we'll just play it by ear." So I gave Matt more than I should have by the company's standards of an enhancement match. But like I said, he was a solid. He was over, as you could see if you pause it and see at the end of that match. You can see the people are like truly invested in version 1 Matt Hardy. He's solid talent. Shannon Moore on the outside. Shannon Warner was a great talent as well, and they made a good little click there for a while. And so it was just he had no problem. He had no issues at all, giving me a bit of a go at it. And so yeah, I was always thankful. I've always been thankful for Matt, not just for myself, but a lot of talent, because you can still see that he still does it to this day. He's very much about enhancing and making sure that everybody gets ahead in this business, which, give that man some love. Yep.
Good guy, Matt Hardy. And you didn't throw a chair in his face. You took care of him. That was pretty good.
Right. No chairs in the face. And then I didn't jump on him after the fact that we jumped and hit him in the head with a chair. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just saying.
Well, to each their own, I guess. Yeah. To each their own. But I like to do all my work in the middle of the ring where the referee has to count 3. Yeah. Logically, I don't want to be outside the ring, because outside the ring means that I can't win. So I am baffled by today's performances, because majority of it is on the outside of the ring, when as a kid growing up, the mystique of the professional wrestling ring and being inside one is more of a mystique than being outside in a street or out in where the fans are, because fans already are there. Yeah. So I don't understand the psychology behind today's day and age of being out, like fighting in guardrails and fighting outside on the floor or on the commentator's table. It makes no goddamn sense to me, because as a kid growing up, and like any child that nowadays, the idea of actually just touching the ropes of a wrestling ring is something that will stick in their minds forever. It's almost untouchable. Mm-hmm. It's an untouchable thing, because how often does somebody, even like an adult person, get that close to a professional wrestling ring? But yet we want to spill outside and do all our nonsense on the outside, instead of where like people are mystified by this whole setup of something between ropes and being in there, and if it's really real, or if it's hard, or if it's bouncy, or if those ropes really work. There's so much to it. Why are we spending our time outside? Spend your time inside the ring, for God's sakes. Get your hot dogs and, fool around with your buddies later, for God's sakes. Like, if you're going to wrestle.
make it mean something to go outside of the ring. If it happens every match, it means nothing. And that's what it seems to be. Nothing. It happens every single match, it seems like. I digress.
Well, yes. See, we digress a lot here, Scotty. But let's talk about the previous one that we did with Haystack Calhoun and Buddy Rogers.
Yeah.
When he fell out of that ring, people were like dumbfounded by this giant man falling out of a ring. That's not commonplace back then. So if you brought it to a place where it wasn't commonplace and then you went to the outside, my God, you would blow people's minds. But
yeah,
again, we digress.
Here we are. All right, that was awesome. 2 Tyson Dux matches, very different eras. I guess 7 years apart, but one you looked like a young kid there. That was neat to watch that last one with Matt Hardy there. And then the one with Ring of Honor, you're little looking more like you do today, more thick, more like a man. And it'd be great to watch some matches from 2020. Unfortunately, there wasn't many because of the pandemic. Hopefully we get some going forward. Maybe we can do some watch-alongs of some current stuff of yours as we get back in the ring here. So hopefully by the end of the year, I don't know, it's not looking great here up in Ontario for that, but we'll see. You never know what happens.
Yeah, because I'm excited to try out with every evolution, and I feel as though we need a regression in the way things are done now. I feel as though evolution of the sport is hurting it, and I think to scale back and go back is to find balance. So that's what we're going to do. So my evolutionary style is to go back and take it back a couple steps. And I'm very, very excited to start wrestling again, just to get it out and get the style up and running and over, hopefully, and stuff like that. But we're going to have to wait to 2021, I guess? This is what we're looking like.
Yeah, probably. That's what she's looking like now, but it is what it is. In the meantime, we will keep doing stuff like this, trying to educate people, show people not only how to do stuff, but really what's most interesting to me as a fan listening to you talk about these matches is why stuff gets done. And that's the really neat part of it is we can see stuff in the ring and you're watching as a fan, you don't necessarily know all the intricate details of why guys are doing certain things. And when you shed light on that, it's really interesting to me. And hopefully the listeners are appreciating that as well. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, feedback, you can send them to us at hammerlockpodcast@gmail.com, or you can hit Tyson up on Twitter at Tyson Dux. Any final words or anything you want to mention before we sign off for this 10th episode?
A few things. So I would say on the thing about our 10th episode, we only wanted to do 10. You were kind of figuring, Scotty, that you kind of wanted to phase yourself out. You thought that maybe it wasn't good, like maybe it wasn't the dynamic that the show needed. I totally disagree. We totally need you on board. And I enjoy doing these with you because I take it from my own point of view all the time, and I don't want one side. I don't want a dictatorship. It is not a dictatorship. I want everybody to learn, and if you have points, I like your points. So it's good to have a different set of eyes on stuff as it is. So going forward, we want to keep Scotty D on for sure. A big milestone. I really enjoyed our first 10. I'm looking forward to our next 10. And I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do. And if, like I said, if you have anything that you want us to kick out there and throw out, I'm more than happy. It can be new stuff. You can bring new stuff, but if it's something that is just going for shock, or if you want me to tear something apart, I'm not gonna. We're not in that. There's a lot of podcasts out there that can rip stuff apart and be negative towards it. We're only showing the stuff that we want to educate with, more than the stuff that we want to bash and rip apart. So anything going forward, man, just send it our way. We're happy to get all your comments and read about it and let's see what the next 10 holds, Scotty.
Yeah, right on. The next 10. And as long as it's enjoyable and people are enjoying it and you're enjoying it, and I enjoy doing them. So let's keep rolling. If it's, and again, the main goal we talked about when we first started was how do we both kind of talked about how the wrestling business was, or how pro wrestling was when we were younger and growing up, and how it is now. And kind of wanted to do something that would help kind of educate, bring it back to what it can be. So that's kind of the purpose of this. We're trying not to shit on anything, just trying to look at the positives and find things that we can do to help things going forward. And you're doing that with the wrestling school, and then this combined with that is kind of a good way to pass that positiveness on and keep things in a positive light as much as we possibly can. So that's kind of our goal here, our role. If you want to listen to stuff where it's negative and shitting on stuff, that's entertaining too. I listen to stuff like that all the time because it's funny and interesting, but that's not what you're going to get here. We're going to try and keep it positive and educate and show the best of pro wrestling, what pro wrestling is meant to be, like you always say. So that's where we're at. 10 episodes in the bag. Who knows how many more? Let's see if we can get to 100. Who knows? We'll see how it goes.
Let's get to 100.
All right. So that said, thanks everyone again for listening. Really appreciate it. We are, again, always, like Tyson said, always looking for input on what matches you guys want to see, anything like that, anything you want to comment on, any questions you have for Tyson, stories you want to hear. That's kind of where it gets really fun for me and some of the other listeners, I think, is when stuff comes up that triggers a cool story. So that's kind of as much as I can. My role here, I think, is to try and hit the buttons and ask questions that trigger stories. So that's what I'm trying to do. So if anyone has any feedback on any of that or any suggestions, send them over. We're very willing and able to listen to that stuff and hope that people are getting something out of this thing. So that said, we'll sign off for the day. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, we will catch you later.